Hi, my name is Malika Jade, and I'm the current chapter president of RHSJSA, and I'm running to be your ACR mayor. Our chapter is a small one, and one of our greatest difficulties at the start was gathering together a community of people and staying connected in a way that allowed us to comfortably voice our opinions and work to educate ourselves. It was because we were such a small and new chapter that the disconnect between ourselves and Texas JSA was very large. The incredible support system that existed within Texas JSA was just not accessible, and this disparity was furthered due to only being able to connect virtually because of COVID. It is for these reasons that one of my greatest goals is to remedy this gap, and the best way to do that is to create a support system for these smaller chapters, from providing information about Texas JSA as a whole and how it functions, to how to gather active members, to how to make conventions more accessible. Not only that, but explicit communication is incredibly important, and I believe that creating a system in which regional mayors can host scheduled check-ins with each chapter president to gain an understanding of what each chapter individually needs can dramatically improve this disparity. It is with these improved connections between Texas JSA and its smaller chapters that we can begin to encourage growth and focus on outreach for both new members and new chapters. When we expand, we gain greater access to newer perspectives, and we can increase the diversity of our discourse in order to fight political apathy, benefiting us all. Creating and building a new chapter of any club is a daunting process. However, if we make it as approachable as possible, it doesn't have to be. Smaller chapters face many unique problems that bigger chapters may even fail to consider, which makes trying to solve for these problems an uphill battle. This is why I believe that I'm uniquely qualified to be your ACR mayor. Not only am I aware of these problems because I've experienced them, but I also have ideas out as to how to best solve for them and will work to make them recognized. One of our major issues is conventions. They're just not attainable to newer chapters due to the cost, and this, in tandem with the fact that fundraising as a newer chapter can be incredibly difficult, locks new members into a cycle of never having the true experience of JSA, but also never being able to access it. The lack of connectivity also permeates to decision making. Smaller chapters will always have less influence on all things, including voting for regional candidates. A focus on issues such as these can work to make JSA more democratic and egalitarian. Our biggest goal is to engage with the world around us and take into account multiple perspectives while doing so. And a key element of that is participation and a sense of community, so it's vital that we work to reform these things. I hope that by bringing these issues to light, I can work as your mayor to solve for them. I am not only willing to dedicate as much time and work that is necessary, but my goal is to fill whatever role is required of me and make sure that it's well done. I want to be the voice of the people, and I hope that all of you will vote for me to be your ACR mayor so that I can do just that. Thank you.
Hey Texas JSA, my name is Carlos Serna and I'm running to become your new ACR mayor. I've been a member of JSA for around 3 years, and over that time period, I have gained a greater appreciation for the organization as a whole, as well as a greater appreciation for political activism. JSA has been a huge aspect of my life over the last 3 years, as it's taught me new relationships, new experiences, and new knowledge. But before I give you the hard sell about why you should vote for me, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I am a junior at Basis Chavano, who is the current co-chapter president with my good friend Saranso Mardana, and an activism agent under Anaya Patel. With these positions, I have learned a great deal about leadership and determination and what makes a great leader. I was first exposed to JSA by my good friend Adam Rangel. He told me it was an organization where I can not just express my political ideals, but meet new politically active students, work together on activism projects, and meet a community that strives to promote democratic leadership. But it wasn't until my first convention where I saw this. Seeing students all across Texas working together, debating, talking about different political ideals and ideas blew my mind away. And yes, this story of how I fell in love with Texas JSA has been said far too many times. But what makes it different is the two versions of JSA that have been going through my head over the last year. The JSA that I fell in love with, and the reality of the JSA within the ACR region. Sadly, over the past couple of years, the concept of JSA that I fell in love with has been depreciating within the ACR. Years of inactivity, coupled with the loss of participation throughout, has made the ACR a dying region within Texas. And on top of that, the ongoing pandemic has exacerbated the problem. The JSA that I promote to my friends and my family, the same way Adam promoted it to me, has been lacking within the ACR. However, as your ACR mayor, I am determined to make sure the ACR doesn't just overcome this slump, but far exceeds anyone's expectations. It's time we make the ACR what JSA is meant to be. Not a stagnant, unchanged region, but a thriving, flourishing region that every member of the ACR can be a part of. What I bring differently as a candidate is my love for this organization. Not because it looks good on an application or because it benefits me, but because it's an experience that I love and it's an experience that I do not want other people to be squandered for. It is an organization worthy to fight for and an organization worthy to lead. Thank you.
Hello, ACR Texas JSAers. My name is Sohali Vadula, and I'm running to be one of your next ACR senators. As a new chapter president this year, I firsthand experienced the challenges of starting and running a new chapter in an online environment. Recruiting members proved to be extremely difficult, and we couldn't attend conventions due to school protocols. But I know that I wasn't the only one, because I know that many other small school chapters face these same obstacles. And my experience this year as a new president has been what inspired me to run for ACR senator, to help build a support system that new and declining chapters in the ACR and other regions and counties desperately need. During this year, I've noticed a lack of connectivity, communication, and involvement between chapters within the ACR region to attend state conventions and at the state level. Many chapters in the ACR aren't able to attend these state conventions, feel disconnected from the rest of Texas JSA, and chapter presidents, more often than not, don't know how to get in contact with regional officials, especially new ones. We've only had one regional chapter con this year, and one that many chapters, especially new ones, weren't able to attend. In addition, the ACR Instagram and social media platforms have been extremely stagnant with a total of 3 posts. And I think it's really unfortunate that one of the largest regions in Texas JSA has been so inactive and fragmented for so long. Disengagement has been one of the biggest problems suffered in the ACR region, as well as other regions in Texas JSA, especially due to COVID-19. So I think it's time we change things up. My triple-faceted plan as senator is very simple: to restore connectivity, improve communication, and increase participation between chapters in the ACR at the state level. As senator, working alongside the ACR mayor, I plan to create a committee of ACR chapter presidents and members to plan and host regional events, chapter cons, and other activism efforts that have been absent for far too long. I will push for more utilization of the region's social media platforms and initiate a regional remind group. I will strengthen communications with ACR chapter presidents regarding chapter cons, regional events, and proposed bills to make sure that not a single chapter is left out of the loop. I will strive to increase ACR chapter participation in state conventions and propose bills that make them more accessible to students who are disadvantaged to attend them. And lastly, I believe that regional participation relies on representation, which is key, and I promise to increase that, especially among new chapters, by improving communication methods and implementing a forum for all ACR members to voice their opinions regarding bills, opinions, and ideas for the region. Now, I know that there are many changes that are necessary to take place within the ACR and Texas JSA itself, and I believe that I can provide a great start. As senator, I hope to bring real change to Texas JSA, with one bill at a time. Thank you.
Hey Texas JSA, my name is Brandon Alsop and I'm running to be one of your future Texas JSA 2021 to 2022 senators. So, my platform centers around a few principles: connection, restoration, and activity. My first principle, connection, involves establishing a committee of regional leaders, chapter presidents and co-presidents, and active ACR members to coordinate meetings to discuss the future of the region and also future activism events. My second principle, restoration, includes restoring the ACR to its former glory by not only solidifying the JSA presence at schools throughout the ACR, but branching out and making new connections through expansion chapters like mine. As a CIA agent for this year's cabinet, I see that the ACR has been deteriorating over the course of this pandemic, and I feel that it's necessary to rebuild what has been lost. My third and final principle, activity, includes scheduling various chapter cons and regional events to boost activity throughout our region. My ideas for these events include scheduling activism projects online and in person to not only create lasting memories and do good for the community, but to also bring our region closer together as a whole.
My fellow junior statesmen and stateswomen, it is an honor to stand before you today at this 2021 Spring State National Convention as I humbly ask for your vote. My name is Calvin Malden, and I am running to serve you as the next Texas Gulf Coast Region Mayor. As Texas Gulf Coast Region Mayor, I will fortify JSA with my initiatives of coordination in the Gulf Coast region and the activism umbrella. First, I would like to improve inter-chapter dynamics within the GCR. This would be accomplished by building off the social media infrastructure and chapter meeting Zoom guests that JSA has utilized to the utmost of its capabilities throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Once it is safe enough to gather together again, we will continue expanding accessibility to various chapter meetings in our region via Zoom and other social media apps and sites. Post-COVID, I would also like to start inter-chapter bonding trips, such as museum visits or more casual social functions such as a park picnic. Gathering together in public with JSA merchandise would serve as a form of marketing in and of itself, and may inspire another student to start a chapter at his or her own school. In my activism umbrella, I have 3 types of activism: outreach, expansion, and access. Under the category of outreach, I like to revive the service and volunteerism aspect of JSA. In American politics, elected leaders are commonly referred to as public servants. Unfortunately, every day this colloquialism becomes more and more of an oxymoron, as many of these representatives are regularly exposed for dishonest and immoral actions, greed, and corruption. I like to reverse that trend, and it starts with we the people. My plan is for each chapter to collectively agree on a nonprofit, charity, or cause to serve at least twice during the school year. Once selected, the chapter will agree on dates to serve their chosen cause. Examples of causes could be an environmental cause, financial literacy, or voter registration, or on your own unique idea. In expansion, I would focus on starting and supporting chapters in rural, urban, inner cities, and more conservative-leaning communities, especially in Arkansas and Louisiana, where more established Texas chapters would serve as supporting Big Brother chapters to help these new chapters. Although I love all of my friends and appreciate their views in JSA, I have noticed an overwhelming view of them have progressive or liberal opinions. Many of them agree and acknowledge that JSA lacks a diversity of thought. In order to solve this problem, I would focus on bringing in more moderate, conservative, and libertarian members and guest speakers to produce a more balanced bill docket and conversation topics for future gatherings. In order for JSA to remain a truly nonpartisan organization, this step is essential to maintaining the integrity of JSA. If an overwhelming majority of the thoughts and ideas being discussed are similar with one another, are we truly challenging ourselves in debate and being civil, kind, and respectful to those who are different from us, or is creating another dangerous echo chamber that will cause long-term harm and ultimately lead to complacency in the way we think and discuss issues? Lastly, in my access plan, I'd like to lower cost of in-person and Zoom conferences, merchandise, and other events and costs. Inherently, by creating a wider range of people to come and by lowering costs, a more wide range of views would be expressed. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today, and please vote for Calvin Malton for GCR Mayor.
Hey there, JSA. My name is Anna Mag. I am a current junior at Bel Air High School, and I am so beyond excited to be running for the GCR's next mayor. I love JSA, mostly because it's the perfect fusion of discussion, activism, and fun. This year, as a consequence of COVID, we lost a lot of what makes JSA special, and it would be my goal as your mayor to bring that back. As an avid member of JSA, I have gone to my fair share of conventions, and last year I had the pleasure of acting as the head of fundraising for the GCR's ChapterCon. While allowing me a great opportunity to see the inner workings of a ChapterCon, it also opened my eyes to a lot of areas that we can improve upon. This is actually what led me to want to run for the GCR position this year. I saw the changes that needed to happen, and I want to be the person to make them. There are 4 main areas that I would want to focus on as mayor. The first is regional events. By this I mean the events that the GCR participates in. The first thing we need to do is invest in our activism. By that I mean we need to do more. For the past couple of years, we have become complacent with just one activism event a year and pretending like that's enough. But if we could be doing more, then why aren't we? One of the JSA mottos is to fight apathy, and activism is the most tangible way for us to do that. So let's do it. The GCR is huge. It engulfs 14 chapters alone. So the next thing we can improve upon in regional events is facilitating projects and meetings with 2 or more chapters in the GCR. This way we can have more events, but if some chapters can't attend those, then we won't be left at a dead end looking for a new date that we need to make work. But the second and most direct area that I would improve upon in the GCR as mayor is by facilitating a more organized and better ChapterCon. I don't think that most JSA members know what actually goes into making a convention work. I mean, I certainly underestimated the pure effort it took to make it work before I actually had to work on one myself. That being said, the way to make it work better is to start planning the ChapterCon way in advance. This will allow us the time to properly plan and execute an amazing ChapterCon. The third area of focus is keeping connected. Now more than ever before because of COVID, we need to stay in contact. As your mayor, I will be committed to keeping myself connected to chapters, chapters connected to other chapters, and chapter interests in our senator's mind. I just said chapters like 4 times. But that leads me to the 4th area of concern, which is engagement. The simplest way to change this is to make an increase in chapter participation. But the next thing we need to focus on in engagement is improving our inclusivity, not just diversity racially, but also politically. Before I close out this speech, I want to give a quick thank you to Ansh, Iwana, and Amy for the most amazing endorsements, and a special thank you to Mitsuki for being here for me every step along the way. Remember, you can always read more on my platform where I go into more detail on how I will get this done. It was a pleasure to run for mayor this year. Thank you for tuning into this virtual campaign, and remember, don't be a drag, vote Anna Mag.
Hello, Texas JSA. My name is Seva Rahman, and I'm running to be one of your next GCR senators. I joined the junior state during my freshman year and immediately fell in love with how dedicated and welcoming everyone was at my first fall state in 2018. Seeing the impact that JSA had on so many other people, I decided to fully immerse myself in the organization as well. During my sophomore year, I served as my chapter's fundraising director and joined the activism department within Texas JSA's cabinet. As a member of activism, I have led activism blocks at GCR chapter cons, helped plan multiple activism fairs, and led workshops at both Fall State and WinterCon. Being my chapter's only activism agent, I work to make our impact on our community a priority and to applaud National JSA's annual Fight Apathy campaign at HSPBA for the past 2 years. I currently serve as my chapter's publicity director, highlighting junior state's activities and HSPBA JSA's initiatives. The positions I've held for the past few years have each taught me unique skills concerning effective leadership and working within a team. As your senator, I promise to uphold these same skills to ensure that I'm working for you. My platform touches on 3 core issues: communication, representation, and impact. In order to tackle these issues, I propose ideas for 3 bills that would potentially solve them from their root causes. Firstly, there is little to no communication between Big Six and general JSA members. Passing a bill that enforces the utilization of a forum for Big Six and JSA members to converse would promote an increase in communication between all JSAers. Secondly, smaller chapters are not represented in cabinet. Passing a bill that integrates cabinet information sessions into schedules at Fall State, Spring State, and 1 chapter con per region/county would guarantee that JSAers are getting the information they need to mobilize themselves. Finally, the Texas junior state has a limited impact on local politics and current issues. Passing a bill that would guarantee the implementation of semester activism briefings would ensure that JSAers feel empowered to take action within their chapters and on their own. These are just a few of my ideas that aim to curb Texas JSA's most prominent issues, and as your senator, I will make solving issues like these with creative solutions a priority of mine. Your vote for me means a more unified, inclusive, and impactful Texas JSA. Thank you.
Hey Texas JSAers, my name is Marley Bartholomew and I'm a current junior at the Woodlands College Park High School, running to become one of your next Texas GCR senators. During my time in Texas JSA, I've grown not just in knowledge, but in character, forming friendships with like-minded individuals across the state and nation through conventions and initiatives such as JSA Pen Pals. I've consistently attended events such as Fall State and WinterCon, where I have met new faces and engaged in ways such as sponsoring a bill to repeal the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. As a public relations officer of my chapter, I have furthered expansion and encouraged diversity of thought, which I view as an essential characteristic to JSA as a whole. Through serving on Texas JSA's state cabinet as a publicity agent, I have worked alongside others to promote Texas JSA's initiatives and important upcoming events. I've continued to promote political discourse and active citizenship on social media and through my work as a student election clerk. As a student election clerk throughout the early voting season and on election day, I was able to participate in the voting process, gaining valuable insight into our electoral system. I promote youth political discourse on both my personal TikTok account and a group account, fostering civil discourse and political education, which I view as essential. I'm running for Texas GCR Senate because I'm dedicated to improving the JSA experience for everyone residing in the GCR through greater diversification, communication, expansion, and activism. I believe that alongside my fellow GCR senator, we will be able to introduce legislation crucial to our region. In my platform, I propose 7 bills that I believe are crucial to the GCR region, including the introduction of Junior JSA, a GCR TikTok account, education on current issues, mandatory activism initiatives spanning diverse issues, small chapter representation and engagement, direct communication between JSA members of all levels through use of Discord, and state cabinet oversight and accountability. I know that I am ready for the challenge, and I hope that I will be given the opportunity to improve the JSA experience for all those residing in the GCR region. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me.
My name is Sam Johnson. I'm a junior at Bel Air High School in Houston, and I am running to be your next GCR Senator. I've been active in JSA for around 3 years now, and I have not missed a single chapter meeting since September of 2019, and I've been to almost every single convention since then. I first got into JSA in my freshman year, but only was active around my sophomore year by going to Fall State and seeing just how much I was missing out on. I spent time afterwards trying to find ways to get more involved, but since Texas JSA was and still is doing a terrible job with engagement, I couldn't find many opportunities. I then was able to go to WinterCon 2020, and we were able to see the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg speak in Washington, D.C. After that, I decided to run for GCR Senator, and even though I lost, I learned so much. Now let's talk a little bit about why I'm running and what my platform is all about. I'm running this year, and I ran last year for GCR Senator, because first, I believe that the senator position in Texas JSA should be expanded to a more active position. Second, the Senate needs to be drastically transformed. And third, I believe I'm the best fit for this role in the GCR. My platform talks about a lot about a few things, specifically representation, chapters, and in general engagement. I believe that representation, specifically political representation, is the most important and most serious issue that JSA has to deal with, and is one of the biggest challenges we will ever have to face in Texas JSA. There are so many friends of mine who either won't join JSA or who left JSA because of how toxic the culture towards differing views has become. My platform advocates for an hour-long session between the leadership of Texas JSA and JSA members who feel their voices aren't heard to make sure that their problems can see the light of day and offer up solutions to help fix those problems. We need to build a culture of acceptance, not a culture of hate and ignorance that we currently have. Next, let's talk about my plan for chapters. Chapters are the backbone of Texas JSA, and we have been losing engagement and members in some of our largest chapters like wildfire. My plan to solve this includes the creation of a regional cabinet and joint meetings. In almost every single state except ours, each region has its own regional cabinet that can address their own issues closer to home. This not only boosts engagement, but makes sure that regions' needs can be met. Examples of this working to perfection are clear in both the MAS and PNW, and there's no reason why it couldn't work here in Texas. My full platform is in my bio, along with the second most endorsements in Texas JSA right now, so go check that out and vote Sam for GCR Senator.
Hi, my name is Christopher Lord, and I'm running to be your representative in the Texas JSA Senate, the Panhandle Metroplex County. I'm a member of Jasper JSA, and next year I'll be a part of Plano West JSA. And I'm a debate agent for Texas JSA, as well as a National Racial Justice Task Force Outreach Director for National JSA. I've been a member of JSA since my freshman year, and ultimately hope to continue my years in JSA throughout my time in high school. But if there's one thing I've learned in the past year in JSA, it's that we need to do better. We need to make sure that everybody has a chance to be the people, both online and off. My first year as a JSA, my chapter had 16 people attend Fall State and 3 attend Winter Congress. Because distance, travel, cost, and even timing was simply too wrong for too many people. And that issue is something that happens so often with people across the state, and it's something that we need to work to fight. Whether it's online or offline, we need to make sure that the Junior State of America is accessible to everybody, so we all get a chance to have our voices heard, and we all get that opportunity to be the people. While online conventions have given us an opportunity to bridge the gap between one another, it's not something that's going to last forever. And it certainly isn't something that's going to be able to be sustained once we go back offline. Unless we truly work hard to make sure that JSA is an accessible organization for everybody. We need to give everybody a chance to be the people. And that's something that my campaign expands upon. Whether it's for video guides, for new JSA chapters to truly get ahead, the idea of sister partnerships between chapters to make sure the JSA chapters work alongside one another to help each other grow. Or even new debate guides to make sure that every JSA has a perfect understanding of how this system works. I want to truly enact reforms across the board to make sure that the junior state of America is accessible for everybody. In my time in JSA, I have been committed to this organization like no other. And if you don't want to take it from me, you can take it from other people. If you go to lordforsenate.com, you can see my endorsements from people across the country. JSAs who I've worked with in my time here, who can testify that I am truly the right pick for your representative in the Senate. I work with JSAs across the country to help better this organization, and I want to take that work and commitment to the Senate to truly enact not just my policy proposals, but your ideas too, to help make sure that your voices are heard. Remember, you'll never be bored with Lord.
Hi, I am Brandy Shea, and I hope to become your next PMC Senator. I'm currently the Bel Air Chapter Treasurer, a representative in the House of Representatives, and a cabinet fundraising agent. Next year, I will be attending TAMS and will be reviving the chapter there. There are several reasons why I should be your top choice for PMC Senator. The first reason is my unwavering dedication to JSA. JSA is and will continue to be my #1 priority. I have canceled several plans to attend conventions over the course of the last 2 years. I have attended a total of 8 conventions, in person and virtual, including PMC ChapterCon, WinterCon, and Fall State. Not only do I complete voluntary JSA tasks and go above and beyond on JSA assignments, but I practically live in my JSA quartership. My extensive and comprehensive platform approved by people from various cabinet departments is another reason why I should be the next PMC Senator. Currently, senators pass meaningless legislation in order to create more change and to best benefit the PMC. I hope to become more involved in regional affairs, like helping the PMC administrator host ChapterCons. One of my main goals is to foster transparency by releasing 9-week newsletters with updates on PMC reforms, monthly Instagram posts, and regional town halls. I also hope to increase representation through PMC cabinet workshops and feedback forms available for all PMC JSAers. Lastly, my unique JSA experience highlights why I should be your first choice. If elected as PMC Senator, I will be the first to combine my experience in both GCR and PMC. I will have a fresh perspective on PMC issues and will be able to bring some of the successful reforms in the GCR to the PMC, such as regional thought talks. As the only PMC Senator candidate that has experience in both cabinet and as a chapter officer, I have firsthand knowledge of how to bridge the gap between cabinet and chapters. Vote me as your first choice PMC Senator candidate. With my experience, I, Brandy Shea, definitely know the way to improving and spreading the amazing JSA experience.
Hi JSA, my name is Pranav Kolakuntla and I'm excited to be running for your next PMC Senator position. As a brief background about me, I'm a freshman at Jasper High School and a current debate agent in the Texas JSA cabinet. I also served as a clerk at the Winter Congress, gaining a lot of valuable knowledge about the planning put into creating a convention, especially in an online format. Joining JSA has been one of the best decisions that I've made, as I've been able to meet so many great people and grow as a better person myself. When I first attended a meeting for JSA at my chapter, I was surprised at the intricacy and detailed structure seen in it. Even as time has gone by, the amount of dedication and effort I've seen into building such an astounding group still amazes me. This is, in part, what pushed me to run for PMC Senator in the first place. The campaign process is extremely thrilling, and I'm thankful for all the experience that I've gained from it. Throughout my campaign, I've received support and endorsement from many key figures in the PMC and JSA as a whole, such as the PMC Administrator, Pranav Patithunivil, former PMC Senator and National Director of Activism, Angela Wang, the 2019 to 2020 Speaker of the House, Vivian Zhao, the Carnegie Vanguard High School Chapter President and Debate Agent, Somkar Day, and fundraising, activism, and debate agents in Amit Kanda, Leo Yu, and Patrick Liu, respectively. My platform includes solutions to improve upon 3 key tenets of the overall JSA experience, namely debate, conventions and events, and publicity. In terms of debate, I plan to implement reforms to increase accessibility towards people that might be new to the process and make it much easier to get involved. For conventions and events, I hope to ensure that all people that get an experience in convention have one that is unique, and that everyone who has a slight inclination don't get discouraged by the price tag. Finally, making Texas JSA to grow to become an even larger organization is the focus of my publicity portion. To get a more in-depth overview of each, you can head over to my Instagram at PranavForPMC and click the link in my bio. I'm running for PMC Senator because I believe that I am the best fit to help all Texas JSAers have an even greater experience in this organization. If you want to strengthen all of JSA, Klux in luck.
Hello, my name is Kavya Shinbaharaman, and I'm a current Texas JSA debate agent, and I'm running to be your next PMC Senator. I'd like to start off with a bit of background about myself and about my JSA experience. My JSA experience starts at the beginning of this year as a freshman. When I first started, I had virtually no idea what JSA was about. But that all changed when I attended my first convention, PMC ChapterCon. Here, I grew to love JSA, especially because of activities like Activism Block, which I'd like to foster in coming years when we move off of a virtual environment, as well as JSA Thought Talks and debates. This experience at PMC ChapterCon, coupled with the fact that I compete in speech and debate outside of JSA, led me to apply to be a mid-year cabinet applicant for the debate department within Texas JSA cabinet. And luckily, since then, I've had the privilege of seeing the ins and outs of the way that Texas cabinet plans for conventions, as well as having the experiences of working on conventions like Spring State in the future, as well as WinterCon. But this leads us to today. Why am I running for PMC Senate in the first place? And that boils down to 2 key issues I've seen over the course of my experience. The first being accessibility to information and a lack of communication to share those resources among PMC. The first key way I'd like to solve this is by establishing a shared Google Drive in which big and small chapters can share meeting resources as well as general PMC resources to ensure that small and large chapters start on the same footing. But the second thing is I'd like to make sure that our communication as a region is not just at PMC ChapterCon by establishing inter-chapter debates, discussions, and keynote speaker events. The second key issue I've been noticing is that we aren't conducting expansion and outreach at the best possible way, and I'd like to change that by enacting 2 other policies. First, by ensuring that access for new chapter leaders and presidents is more robust, by ensuring that the PMC administrator gives out accurate information and that we update the Texas JSA website with more and more updated information. Secondly, I'd like to create an incentive for chapters to continue expanding and continue outreach within their own chapters by expanding the chapter outreach programs to include exactly that. I hope that I have your support today and that together our shared love for JSA and what it stands for can help make not only PMC but also Texas JSA as a whole be the best it can be altogether.
Hi, I'm Laura Marquez, and I'm running for re-election for the RGC Senator position. So to talk about a little bit about myself, hi, I'm Lauren once again. I'm a current sophomore at Achiever Valley College High School all the way down in McAllen, Texas, as well as this is my second year in JSA overall. I really want to talk about my campaign for a little bit, as well as regards to any comments or concerns that I may have for these type of policies. So let's talk about regional constitutions. So regional constitutions are composed of guidelines and a smooth transfer of power from admins or mayors to the next people holding that position. These will indicate just like chapter constitutions as well as the statewide constitution. However, this is going to be the guidebook of how to manage your region or county, which you inherit for the next session, of course. This is most likely going to be beneficial because this will not only make the new mayors or admins more effective in their position, but as well more knowledgeable of what region or county they are possessive of, as well give senators and new chapter presidents a breeze of what to do, how to do it, and who to contact in case any questions are needed or concerns to be met. Although regional constitutions may seem a bit iffy for y'all right now, there is a more specific post about it and a more detailed explanation on my campaign Instagram at Lauren for RGC Senator. There you can also direct any comments, questions, or concerns to my JSA email, which is linked, as well as my phone number that I think is linked as well. Another thing that I really want to push for next year is having at least one ChapterCon per year or per school year, because ChapterCons prove a more incentivized and more engaged county or region, which honestly is amazing, and we need the population for our members to grow as well to get more people involved in our organization JSA overall. Thank you everyone for watching this video and listening to some of my policies that I really want to ensure in the next school year. Please keep in mind though that the second policy is still a little bit iffy for me. I'm still developing more of a more specific and detailed oriented post about it, so please be on the lookout for that, as well as I'm Lauren Marquez once again, and I hope to get your vote for the next election coming up.